Colette Marie Steffen is partnering with Mark Kettenbach to bring you an energetic upgrade online experience. Unfold and develop your full potential. Visit energeticupgrade.com today for more information. That's energeticupgrade.com.
Would you like to experience life-transforming adventures in personal expansion and world service? If you do, tune in to learn about magical innate abilities that you can develop and use to make your dreams come true. Joy Elaine is author of the Joy Chronicles, and she's inviting you and millions of others to join her in working with galactic masters, angels, and the Ashtar Command as they assist humanity and planet Earth to achieve their ultimate destination of ascension. For more information about this upcoming event and broadcast, visit joyelaine.com. That's joy, ELAINE.com.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Hi, this is Leslie Fontaine. Have you ever said to yourself, what is this mess I'm in? Believe it or not, part of us wants it. We have asked for deeper work, to understand love, to step into our power, to choose differently. Then when we start engineering the circumstances, we want to control how it unfolds. Let's be honest. It's like asking the universe to help you create something, then saying, well, not like that. I want you to do it this way. If you are ready to shift into your best life, visit lesliefontaine.com and let's talk about unfolding all that you want to be, do, and have. You'll find sessions, classes, and audio products to help remove the blocks and move you into your potential. And listen to my show, Sheer Alchemy, on Transformation Talk Radio, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Tell me up, speak up. What's up?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's so great to have all of you tune us in and turn us on. Jenn Morgan's here, and, you're listening to Radically Distinct Radio. Jenn, before we kind of jump in, I know you're going to really walk us through the process of what you do. How can people find out more about you? Let us know, as well as how they can find out more about the radio show, working with you, all of the above.
Well, you can learn more about me and the radio show at jennmorgan.com. That's Jenn with 2 N's, Morgan.com. There's a tab right at the top for radio. And, we're on SoundCloud now, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. So any of those, if you have a little app on your phone, you can find us on there and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.
Good. People hear this from time to time, even when we were talking about Marilyn Monroe, right? She had a process. We don't really think about, how did she become Marilyn Monroe? No, she had a process. And all of the other actresses that followed, thereafter, they had to have a process. They had to be somewhat different. They couldn't all be like her. And I know that you have a process that you take people through so that people can find their unique brand. Tell us what that is.
Yes. So as you're listening to me do this, I want you to really think about some goal that you have in mind and how you can use what I'm saying right here to walk yourself through this idea of thinking through or relating to the goal that you have. How do you get stuck in any of these areas? Because it's really helpful just to have the right questions in front of you, because a lot of times we don't. So as I'm going through this, I'm going to talk to you about my process, how I take people through it. Really think about yourself. The first step is that if you want to show up in the world to be radically distinct, you need to have a radically distinct perception of who you are. So that's why we're talking about perception today. And in order to get that perception, I do an assessment to figure out who are you and what are you trying to do and what are your gaps in terms of your ability to actualize your goals. Because that's the foundation of an effective strategy. You want to have the ability to understand what the person's already got a handle on and use that to your advantage as a strategist. And then you want to find out where the holes are and figure out if those holes need to be filled, like with another person or some skills, or if you can kind of work around them until the person can kind of, build that skill set up. And you want to also have this element of surprise, which is going to come from how you put those things together. So the first step is to really figure out who you are, what you're trying to do, and what your skill gaps are. And then the second part is to profile your brand. What's your vision? What's the creative concept for your own identity that you can help guide your decisions creatively, aesthetically, also from a business perspective? What is it that you want people to think about you? It might not be, like, for example, Marilyn Monroe. She didn't walk around saying, I want you to think that I'm alluring, right?
Mm-hmm.
She had this, like, the sensual idea of herself that I'm pretty sure she actually probably had a creative concept for. And then that creative concept is how she made decisions for it. That's an internal understanding of how you're trying to position yourself. But then you also need a positioning from an external perspective. How is the world going to categorize you? And, the more creative you are, the less you will like this whole idea. But you really do want to make it easier for people to create a context around you. And then you need an elevator pitch. So that's all your profile. And another way to look at your brand profile is to think about your brand. It's your brand story. It's the story you tell yourself that gets you to take action, and it's a story that you tell other people that inspires them to want to, be a part of what you're doing. Whether it's to date you or it's to, become your customer, whatever that piece is. That's your brand profile, and that needs to be organized. Like, you need to know the difference between your vision and your elevator pitch. Those are not the same things. Your vision is something that you can do. You can literally show up in a room. Like, I can show up on this radio and I can live my vision. My vision is to raise the bar. It does not matter what room you put me in. I can't help but live that vision. And if that's not happening, if everybody's playing a little small game, I get really antsy and I eventually walk out, which can be considered to be quite rude. But at the end of the day, people who see that within me, they love having me in their classes. They love having me be their coach or their consultant, because I hold them to a standard. Okay, so that's your brand profile. So it's your assessment, then your profile. And the third thing is you need a plan for how to express your brand effectively as you pursue your goals. Now, this is where I think people mess up a lot. We have fears and concerns. Everybody does, especially if you've never done it before or you've never put this, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Everybody has fears and concerns, and we have a tendency to want to ignore them. Ignore them. And what that makes you do is procrastinate. So what I do is,
I know that one.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is, I'm working with you on your plan, is to get those out of you. You figure out, what are you afraid of? What are your concerns? Because within that information is a bunch of stuff. One, it's insights that I can use, that if I don't know as your strategist and I'm just sending you into the wrong direction, there's insight in that information. And then there's a bunch of outdated ideas about who you used to be, 10 years ago. And that has to be updated. So, within that information, within your planning process, you should be uncovering thoughts and concerns and fears and then using those to shape your path. And the other thing that you need for an effective plan is metrics for tracking your progress. For a lot of reasons, as a consultant or a coach, I want metrics because I want to be able to demonstrate that you're getting somewhere. But from an actual being able to actualize your own goals, you want metrics so that you can see progress, so that you can see yourself getting to a new place, so that you have more energy and enthusiasm. It sort of reinvigorates you when you see that you get somewhere. People oftentimes don't like to be measured. It's very uncomfortable because it causes a sense of accountability. But if you really do want to achieve a goal, having metrics is a very important part of achieving that goal. And then the fourth phase, which is where we get to implementation. And implementation's sort of happening all throughout the process, because I want people to go out into the world, try things out, and we're going to tweak them, right? Because I really do a lot of fine-tuning work. Sometimes people come to me, they have a pretty good idea of what they're trying to accomplish, but they need help sort of detailing it. And so the implementation process, it really ranges depending on the scope of work that I'm working with somebody. But you need to go out, try, and then get some information from the outside world and then interpret that information accurately. And what we tend to do is go out into the world and it doesn't happen. Like, things don't happen the way that we expect them to. Right. And then we get all self-conscious. And then we create this story about what happened. It is not really what happened. And you really have to think about who you're getting feedback from, and qualify that. And that's a really important reason. Like, I hold that space for you to be the reasoning, like the sound reasoning, where it's okay for you to have your emotional experience to it. It's very valuable. Like, I'm not going to tell you not to have that. However, when we're getting to the point where what do you do next, we got to be able to organize that out and figure out what information we really did learn. And so implementation is really about interpreting what happened and interpreting it accurately, not interpreting it based on some story that you've created for yourself.
Well, this is interesting. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about this and give you some examples. But I just want to give a shout out to John. John, thank you for your instant message. So here's what John has to say to me about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Booyah, Dr. Pat. I think that's like a term of endearment. I'm not sure. Booyah, Dr. Pat. Can't stand the uniforms. However, you might be interested to know that one of the reasons they work, maybe why Steelers are winning, is because Roethlisberger, the quarterback apparently.
Roethlisberger,
Thank you, Betty. Roethlisberger now can see his receivers. One of the reasons for changing to stripes, nobody else is using them. Okay, I'm schooled on that.
I get it. I totally get it.
He's like, yeah, imagine now having this is John. Thank you, John. I can't take the whole time doing this, but I'll just read a little bit more. Imagine, Dr. Pat, now having tiger stripes nobody else has in a color most people can't tolerate, and now you can hardly not miss your receivers and running backs. Okay, let's go to break. I'll be right back. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, talk radio to thrive by. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Check us out, thedrpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm.
Have you ever wanted to learn about the colors of your chakras? Well, now's your chance. Lynn Brown, host of Get Into It, is hosting an event Friday, November 4th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. in Mount Vernon. Every person will get a reading on the most prominent color in their aura. Join Lynn Brown November 4th at the Riverwalk Studio in Mount Vernon. To register for this event, call 360-588-4713. That's 360-588-4713.
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Suzanne Evans. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
Brand consultant Jenn Morgan is here with Radically Distinct Radio to help you take control of your future and maximize your brand's power to produce results. Whether you're an individual trying to reinvent yourself and launch a new venture, or you're an executive trying to reposition your company to modernize your sales and marketing programs, Jenn Morgan and the RAD Method empower you to play to your strengths and show up in the world as your most powerful brand. To learn more, go to jennmorgan.com. That's Jenn with 2 N's Morgan.com, or call 206-972-5366.
Hey everyone, this is Dr. Pat. I am so thrilled. I've had the honor of working with Leslie Fontaine for the past year or so, and what she has created in her hit program, Sheer Alchemy, transcends what most of us get to listen to or hear in any point in time in our lives. But beyond that, Leslie is working with people all over the world, and she has created something phenomenal